All right, so with that out of the way, let's get going. ES says the SAT got you sweating. This was the hardest exam, even harder than Gaokao. I feel like, oh, the advantages. Oh, okay. So this was yeah. So I do notice, yeah. The no, I think the consensus here was the math module 2 was a lot harder. Are you based in the States? I am kind of curious about the stats. You know what? I'll do a quick poll. Let me do a poll. Even though, with honestly, it's a little bit hard. Like I need to make a lot of poll options if I want to get what I want. But basically, I want to do a poll really quickly where it says, "Are you U.S. or are you international?" Okay, which is honestly still too huge, but whatever. U.S. versus international, and then I want to do another poll. Was it harder? But U.S. and harder, U.S. and same, and U.S. and easier for than Bluebook. Like I want to do so that would be like a 3 by 2. So then international harder, international easier. But then I also want to add the math and reading. So then that would be a 3 by 2 by 2. Then that becomes way too long for a poll. But let me just for now just type it in. All right. Are you? I'm gonna just let me just add this here real quick. Start a Q&A. Wait, I don't know what this is. Are you US or international? Okay. Was reading harder? Was math harder? Are you US or international? Okay. What happens if I do this? Harder than Bluebook? Was math harder? Was math? Are you US or international? Okay. Actually, I've never used this feature before, so let's see what happens. Questions list. See viewer questions. Oh, what the? Oh, this is interesting. Wait, so does the chat go away? I don't really get how it works, but okay. Let me know if you can. If you can, is the chat still normal right now, or is it different? Like I've never used this feature before, so help me out there. Anyway, I am curious. Okay, the chat is still the same. Cool, good to know. Yeah, it's funny because everyone's just panicking in Reddit. So just to get this out of the way, I'll probably end up saying this multiple times today because people will come in at different times. But remember that no matter what, okay, no matter what, you're still graded by your percentile. So your performance is what matters, okay? And if anything, kids who are in the 730 to 800 range, especially for reading, I can't actually specifically say numbers for math because that's not the test that I study. But specifically for reading, writing, if you are in the 730, 800 range, it's actually better to have a harder test, okay? There's a psychological / statistical reason why it's better. There's also actually, I guess there's a statistical reason why it's better and a psychological reason why it's better for you. So I'll start with the statistical. If there are more harder questions on, if there are a higher number of harder questions, okay, more harder is not a grammatical error here. Okay, if there is a higher number of harder questions on the digital SAT reading writing, then you can start seeing more fine gradations between 800 and 790 and 780 and 770, where you could get maybe like two wrong and then get a 790, maybe 3 wrong, 780, 5 wrong, get a 770. That would be kind of like, that would be a little extreme. That would even be considered really hard on the paper SAT. But like, actually, no, on the paper SAT back in the day, you would get 5 wrong and then it wasn't uncommon to get like a 770 with 5 wrong, although that was not the common case either. But anyway, it was kind of like it's on the slightly harder side. So you actually want those gradations if you are in the 730, 800 range, so you can have a little bit of, you can have multiple chances to get like a 770, for example, or multiple chances to get like a 750. So statistically, it's better to have a harder test for you. psychologically, it's also better for you if you are in that range. And if you are also, if you also took my advice a couple days ago and you learned to regiment your system so that you're actually solving the questions in the same way every time. If you, as long as you do that, you will actually get, if anything, a slight boost in your score because let's say that there's like 100 people who have exactly the same brain as you. They know exactly the same vocabulary as you. They know exactly the same concepts as you. They have exactly the same reading and math skills as you. The difference is that you are the only one that actually regimented the test taking so that you do not panic, that you do not make any last minute changes. Well, in that situation, all right. Oh, and let's say that all 100 of you were getting like 750s on the practice test, on the Bluebook practice test. Well, the thing is, all these kids who are getting the 750s on the Bluebook practice test, if you end up at a harder test, right, and you end up solving like you have never had the experience on a Bluebook test that like where like questions 1, 2, and 3, just the first 3 questions, 1, 2, and 3, all just blow your mind because of the vocabulary or whatever, right? You've never had that experience. So all 100 of you are mind blown in the first 3 questions of module 2, let's just say, right? Well, what's going to happen is all 99 of those kids who didn't regiment their system, they're going to start panicking. And questions 1, 2, 3 are not just questions 1, 2, 3. When panic enters the equation, questions 1, 2, 3 start spreading the negative performance on questions 1, 2, 3 starts spreading through questions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 because of panic, because people start doing things that they didn't do before. And you're the only one out of 100 kids that actually just sticks to the plan. Dude, you're going to score higher than them. You're gonna get a boost, and that's what happens when it's harder, like paradoxically. Okay, so you want to like that's the most important thing, that your performance is consistent, that you're regimenting your system, that you're I'll use different terminology, but like that you have a repeatable and adaptable test taking approach, that you are running it like clockwork. Okay, that's just the thing that you need. Okay, so it's really important to keep in mind when you're talking about curve. Okay, so it looks like there's not a lot of questions right now, but that's the main thing I want to get out there. That you should not panic as long as you solved it in the same way that you always solve it. What do you guys? How'd you guys do on the SAT? And let me and what actually. Oh, just what do you think about all this? About what everyone else is saying over here? This is actually a more practical thread. So this one doesn't have all the panic. Not gonna lie. Last question before I seriously consider canceling my score. Tomatoes. Uh, okay. Science, social science. Let me see. Took up a lot of time and brain power. Rereading, new context. Was that? I'm gonna guess that was module 2. Was it? Like, can you be more specific about the concepts that we're on? What concepts are we talking about? Like, are we talking about monopoly power? Like, what are we talking? Like, what what were you talking about? I don't know, bystander effect. Like, what actually came out content wise? Oh, actually, yeah. Hrish is asking the same thing. Venusian Whistler waves. What the heck is that? When we say okay, Venus, okay, that Venusian must mean Venus, which I don't think Venusian is a word, right? Is it a word? This is intense. Man, I really wish I could see these questions. I really want to solve these questions. I want to solve questions. Like my SAT channel, like I honestly I just want to solve questions. You know what I mean? Like I like being the guy that just solves the questions. But like there's no questions to solve. So like what can I what am I supposed to do with my channel? Anyway, like I feel like I should just go into some others tests so I can actually solve questions because SAT is just like there's no question to solve. It's very annoying. Let's see. Difficult vocab. Banal. Yeah, these are good words. These are good. Vacillate is probably the least common out of all these ones. Preclude is a great word that everyone should know. Like you have to know this. I know it's like a harder word, but you should know this. I would say this is if you know preclude and you're a sophomore, you'd be in top 1% of vocabulary. If you know preclude and you're in junior, because it's actually weirdly if you have to like not just know preclude because preclude is weird because it's like you have to actually know how to use it. But if you are a junior and you know how to use preclude, you would still be in the top I think 5% because it's so uncommon. Even though it's such a good word, it means it's kind of like preempt or block off, but it's yeah preclude, exclude, occlude. Let me see. Occlude. Well, include. I mean, that's obvious. Preclude is a lot like preempt, but it's kind of like preempting. If like preempt and exclude had a baby, it would be preclude. Okay, so that's preclude. Let's see. You were here yesterday. You know, I'm gonna test something because like my YouTube page is kind of like bugging for some reason. So I'm gonna see my connection. There should be no problems with my connection. Let's just wait for like 10 seconds. All right, I didn't disconnect. Oh, okay. There was some weird bug on my YouTube page. I was trying to figure that out. Okay, so catching up on the chat now. You're not good at remembering what was tested. That was actually me too. I almost never remembered whatever I was tested. I think it's good. I think it's honestly a blessing to not remember what was tested, so you can just move on with your life. For the vocab. Oh, okay. So you actually, I'm glad to hear. I was actually rather rambly on the vocab one on the vocab stream because I was, I was, I was like hanging out with friends the previous nights. I had really bad sleep, so like I was super rambly that day. I'm glad to hear that it helped you. Okay, so let me know. I'm glad that you let me know. And can you just say one thing? If you could, just because I was so rambly that day, can you just share like one line? It could be a line that's directly quoted from me, or just a line that just stuck in your head as like you kind of had to create the line out of the verbal mess that I made. But like, can you share like one line as a tip on the vocabulary? And phrase of the day. I'm actually not sure what you're referring to anymore, so I'm going to move on. But yeah, math to yeah. So math to math. Yeah, module to math. I mean, I'm saying math to math. I guess I'm still a little bit out of it. Module to math is there seems to be a pretty large consensus among a subset of Reddit, at least, that there's so there's at least one one test code, okay, that has a really hard module 2 math. Now, from my experience, I'm not a math tutor and I don't really bother solving the math sections very much, but very often, I mean. But when I took the math section in for the digital SAT when the practice test first came out, I did notice that I felt like the digital SAT math was a little harder. Maybe because they're relying more on Desmos, which I think is a funny skill to be testing, but whatever. Yeah, if you're not using Desmos, you should definitely make that. At least that seems to be the math tutor consensus, that you need to be using Desmos, which is like a cheat code. The answer lies within. Yeah, actually, I mean that's so compressed that it's very opaque what that means. But I'll explain what that means, guys. With vocabulary, well, when I say the answer lies within, it's you. What I mean is that I don't know if Naren means exactly what I'm about to say, but what I mean is you actually have a shockingly large usage vocabulary compared to your definition vocabulary. Okay, your definitions are extremely limited, but your usage is actually very, very rangy. And if you remember how certain words are used, you will be able to reverse construct the definition a lot of times. But you just need to stay calm, and you just need to put a process around it. You need to really think about what to do when you see a vocab word. There's like a 15-second window after you see a vocab word that you don't know, where you can actually make effective changes that help you produce something like a somewhat confident idea. It depends on the word and depends on your experience, but basically, you can sometimes figure out what a word means just by pausing on it and making the right mental moves there. Okay, so that's something I wanted to. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Something I shared 2 days before the SAT. Math. Yeah. All right. So you guys, let me see. Let me try. Let me go a little bit further down this thread and see what else is here, and then I'll come back to the chat when I see something. Fentanyl. Precursors. Precursor came out twice apparently. Okay. Detractors. Guys, I need some water. My body is still recovering. All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. What's up? No, I can't take the digital SAT. They don't allow. Maybe they will in the future, but at the moment they don't allow adults to take the digital. Adults who are not applying for university or applying for college to take the digital SAT. Man, I am. I'm not speaking very well today. Anyway, I did not take the digital SAT. I really wish I took the digital SAT. I want to take the digital SAT, but I can't. Oh, apparently they had a bunch of question types that don't show up in any of the official questions. That's I don't know. Like that's a yeah. I don't know about that, man. That's messed up. Like it's messed up because it's only a temporary thing. Like at some point, I don't know. Like does the College Board intend to not reduce? Okay, there's a whole ass debate in my head, and I don't want to just get into that because it's a lot of thoughts, and I don't think everyone's gonna be very interested in it. But like, it's like kind of, I'll just beat the same drum. The College Board should just well, digital SAT makes it a lot more complicated, but the College Board should release their old tests. They should just release their old tests, and so that we can just be honest about it and just start studying it and actually get better at English and math and stuff like that. But whatever, they're not gonna do it. So math. Okay, let's see. Strategic test prep has taken it. Strategic test prep. I mean, I guess if you lie to the College Board and tell them you're using it for college applications, then you can get in for the digital SAT. But I'm going to guess that strategic test prep has not actually taken the digital SAT. They've only taken the paper SAT. So I've taken the paper SAT not hundreds. I've taken it many times, right? I've taken the paper SAT many times, but the digital SAT they're still restricting tutors. Now, there is a small chance because I actually didn't check for March 2023 because I'm not in the US. Sorry, 2024. So I didn't check for yesterday's test. I guess there is a chance that the March 2024 SAT was open to tutors and other adults, but I'm going to guess not. I don't want to lie to the College Board because I'm actually the College Board. It's very easy for the College Board to find me. I'm on YouTube. What am I gonna do? It's like I don't want to lie. I don't want to get permabanned. I want to have a good relationship with the College Board, so I'm not going to compromise my future ability to take the test. But I guess you could probably get away with it if you lied and you pretended to be some adult who's going to go to university next year or whatever, right? That's up to them whether they want to do that or not. But I can't do that. Yeah. To all the people who are disappointed with your math performance, I'm just going to say the same thing I said at the very beginning of the stream. Guys, it's graded on a curve. It's graded on a curve. As long as you gave the same performance, you should have this roughly same score. Okay, it's really, really about your performance. As long as you're competitive, as long as you're doing better than other people with the same level of knowledge as you will do well. Okay. Blurring. Dude, Blur is a name. Dude, the US, it's so funny. The US test centers have such bad security. I mean, so do Asian ones too, I guess, but not as bad because in the US it's so. Some teachers are some of the proctors are so checked out. It's actually embarrassing, but I don't know, man. Two with the camera. Dang, dude. Oh, you're in Vietnam. Yeah, okay. Well, that okay, okay, okay. They were probably getting paid a lot. Yeah. See, actually, let me call back to the thing I was saying earlier. I was saying the College Board should just release all questions. If you just release all questions, you know what happens? All of these little fuckers who are trying to take pictures to get an advantage no longer have an advantage. All these people that are paying like $10,000 to get advanced copies of like pictures or whatever, they no longer have an advantage, right? They're $10,000 or whatever they're paying for stolen tests goes to waste, and that's what happens when you release the tests, right? So that people can just like so that everyone can just study the same materials. But the College Board, like the LSAT is my example here. The there's something called the LSAC, the LSAC, and they administer the LSAT, the LSAT. And they release all their tests. At least they used to. I haven't checked the LSAT in a while, but they release all their tests. So there's really nothing to like. You're not gonna have an advantage for finding some unreleased tests. You know what I mean? So it's like, duh. You should just do that. Like College Board should just do that. But I don't know. I think. Yeah, whatever their business model is, it's probably incentivizing having lots of little tests, and they don't want to have to make that many questions, and they want lots and lots and lots of little tests all over the world and stuff. And I don't know. It's just like I keep beating this drum. I don't think I'm ever gonna win, but yeah, I think the SAT should just release fewer tests and administer fewer tests and then just release all of them. Just avoids this whole issue. Very annoying to me when I hear about cheating. Zappin, welcome to the stream. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, that's not totally fair because they repeat passages or they repeat questions, like literally the same question, like format, but will change the numbers or whatever. So they'll kind of like reuse questions, but they don't necessarily reuse the exact same question. They might just change a couple words, which is like kind of embarrassingly small, but like that is a big that's also an issue. I mean, it's not that hard to write more. Like these passages are no longer long passages. I mean, the College Board, if they just make a proper investment, they can actually make a lot of questions. Because these short passages are like, as someone who tries to write questions sometimes every once in a while, I can tell you it is so much easier to write these questions. So they can have a lot of variations on the even if you're reusing the same passage, you can have a lot of variations on that passage. But I don't know. They should just have a massive number of questions. But I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Who am I to tell the College Board what they should be doing? I'm just a humble test-taking, quasi-speed-running, bum-ass YouTuber. So whatever, dude. It's just my position. Let's see. Yeah, Human, yes, you are not the only one. A lot of people think Math Module 2 was really, really hard. Federalist Papers. Federalist Papers. I'm glad they're using older, or at least passages about the older, like, historical concepts. They should keep doing that. I'm actually really annoyed that they toned down the difficulty of the reading. On the digital SAT, they should have kept it high. I don't know why. It's like with American cars. You know how American cars over the last couple of decades have just gotten larger and larger and larger, like embarrassingly, like these massive trucks, Ford F-150s, because it makes you feel safer to be behind a larger truck, so everyone gets a larger truck, so then it becomes actually more dangerous for everyone. Well, I feel like it's the same thing except in reverse for like the College Board and the SA and the universities. The universities are trying to play these social games, like oh yeah, no, you don't have to take the test or whatever, right? And like they play these games to try to make it more accessible, but the reason they're doing it is because they want more applicants, and if they have more applicants, then their admissions competitiveness goes down, and so then the SAT has to justify to kids who now think that the test is optional, hey, you can take the test too and get a good score. And so they actually have to make they have to make the reading writing test a little easier. This is just a hypothesis, but I suspect that there is a driving force behind making the reading and writing easier, which is they need to sell more. you know, in a world where the SAT is optional, they need to sell more SATs somehow. And how do you do that? By giving students less stress. It's a sort of in Korean it's aksunan. What is that? It's a there's a virtuous cycle is the positive word. What's the opposite? Like what the heck is the opposite of a virtuous cycle? Positive feedback. It's like a negative feedback loop. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, it's like a negative feedback loop where just everything gets like easier, and because everything gets easier, then all the kids who are playing equestrian and fencing and epee fencing and all that shit, they're the ones who actually get into college, and all the poor kids actually lose out. So, fuck that. So annoying. Let's see. And no offense, guys, if any of you are doing equestrian or fencing, no offense, guys. You guys are lovely. I am your tutor. I've tutored many rich kids. It's fine. I have no problems with you. It's just that poor kids, they deserve love too. Everyone's just hoping to be in the second. Just at least for reading and writing, I do want to say the easy module should be noticeably easier. So if you have a slight doubt, did I get the second module? Did I get the hard module or not? You probably did get the hard module. Now, there's a big caveat. This is under the assumption that there's still only 2 module 2s, okay? It's actually possible that the College Board has finally made it a little bit more complex, where there's more than 2 module 2s, right? There could be maybe 5 module 2s, and you're getting one of the 5, right? I don't think the College Board, like, given the amount of effort they've put into making the questions, I don't think that change has occurred, I think it should occur, at some point, where I think it should have already occurred, honestly. I actually think it's a little silly that there was only 2 module 2s. I think that's actually silly, but but it's possible that there's like this sort of sneak attack where now there's more than 2 modules that are possible for module 2, and we just wouldn't know unless we actually surveyed all the students and tried to reverse engineer the second module out of all the students. So yeah. I am pretty sure, yeah, ES, I agree. I don't think they did it, but under the assumption that they didn't do it, under the assumption that what we think about the College Board is true, because they seem to be pretty lazy about this, guys, if you're asking, you probably didn't get, if you even have to ask, you probably didn't get the easy module. Let's go. Yeah, I don't think I'm seeing a lot of, because there's a bunch of like random shout-outs to various questions, but obviously since I did take the test, I can't really say anything about that. So I did want to see, where did all the panic, oh, What is this meme? Oh, I'm cooked. Is that what that means? Ah, there we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, everyone on Reddit is panicking because of math, but some people were panicking because of English, and it's like no one in this chat has specifically complained about the English. Species name. I've actually no one has actually asked me this because I'm guessing it's because most of my YouTube viewers, you guys are actually not scared with harder passages. I'm gonna guess that my YouTube viewers tend to be above average in terms of the SAT score. But for people who are scoring in the 550 to 650 range, I think there's a trick for you guys, and it's a trick that almost everyone who's like 750 will have some version of this trick kind of subconsciously like implemented. Okay, and it's basically just when you see a species name, guys, just use the initials. Okay, sure. You don't have to pronounce the whole thing. It doesn't matter. Just if it says, if the first word starts with an E and the second word starts with an A, then just call it EA. It's in the game. Move on, and you'll be able to like transform use those like initials, E. coli, EC. You're right. Just use those. Use initials, and it makes it a lot easier to just move forward. And what is it? Is it genus species? Right? I'm not really a science person, but I'm guessing the E is the genus, and the coli. I don't remember the name of E. coli is so long, but the E is the genus, and then the C is the species, right? There is this actual structure around that naming convention. So, eventually you do want to learn that that's what that means. So then E by itself is not meaningful, right? E is just a broader category. You might be comparing EC versus ED or whatever. Even though, and because they're from the same genus, but they're different species. As long as you have that general concept in your head, yeah, it will be a lot easier to deal with it. If you go and watch my paper SAT streams, you'll notice that I write initials in these long passages, long complex passages. I write initials in the margins of the paper SAT because it helps me to kind of keep track of how many characters, quote unquote, there are in the test. So anyway, species names, it's very easy not to get overwhelmed. Just have a mental note of like the initials of the species name, and then it'll make the species feel a lot more manageable. And it's not just for species, okay? It's also for just anything that can be named and feels like an important character in the passage that you're reading. Okay, everyone's just memeing on Module 2. I like how they're calling it EBRW, but that's interesting. Yeah, so I'm specifically looking for the reading writing panickers. Which words though, right? I want to know which words. Like I'm gonna guess it's actually the words were not that crazy. Ineluctable. What the heck is that? So, yeah. I mean, yeah. If your vocab, I mean, people have different levels of vocab. Why am I getting this, guys? Apparently, Reddit thinks I'm interested in dating blonde white girls. There's so many blonde white girls in Vietnam. I'm trying to get married. Somebody marry me. All right, let's go to my... This is interesting. Adaptive modules. Actually, this is an interesting quandary. This is again the problem where this is actually for kids who are specifically in like the 650-ish range, like 600 to 700 range. 600 to 700 range makes module 2 very painful. Okay, now it's starting around 700 range that you start feeling like module 2 becomes a little bit more manageable, right? Like not overwhelming. It's still painful, but if you're between 600 and 700, oh my god, like module 2 is gonna just hurt, because you're never gonna get the easy module. Okay, easy module is like closer to like 550 ish. It's like you're always gonna get the hard module, and the hard module is always gonna blow your mind if you're between 600 and 700. And this is why I actually think it would be smarter for the SAT to have multiple module 2s, at least 3. It makes sense to me at least to have 3 module 2s, like an easy module 2, a medium module 2, and a hard module 2. But who knows if the College Board will ever do that. But yeah, the 600, 700 range for the hard module is actually gonna be really painful. So if that's you, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You are not the only one. I should say something about this. This gives me like kind of like semi, not quite whiny, but sort of like defensive conspiratorial vibes. So I just want to make a quick comment on this. Guys, every year's test takers are guinea pigs. Every month's test takers are guinea pigs. They're always testing. There's no reason to not use the previous test as a test. So they're always tweaking. Now, I might be over crediting the amount of effort they put in, but they're always like, if you watch like the trends of like the paper SAT, you can tell it's like they're making like corrections. Like, oh, the kids are getting the science questions are too easy. Let's have harder science questions. So there's like an entire 2-year stretch where all the science passages were like really, really hard or whatever, right? They're always sort of, they might not evolve very quickly, but they are still observing the data and still making adjustments every once in a while. Now, to what extent is that driven by like human factors? Probably a lot, actually. Like whoever happens to be the director of the quality assurance of like the science questions of that 1 year or the next or those couple of years, may change kind of like the quality of the questions overall to some extent. So there may be some human factors like that at play. But at the end of the day, I mean, these are still people who want to write, I guess, good questions. So they will be always observing, like maybe not at a month-to-month level, but every once in a while they will be reviewing how the test has been going for kids and make adjustments. So just assume that you're always guinea pigs. There's no reason to think that this year is a special year where we're gonna have like really hard questions, and just like, why add that stress to yourself, dude? You're still gonna be graded on a curve, okay? You're still going to be compared on the 100th, like in the 100 percentiles that there are. Okay, you're gonna be one of them, okay? And then you're just gonna get the number assigned to that percentile on the curve, right? So just be better than your classmates. Just be better than the other people that are taking the test. Just be smarter than them, have better vocabulary than them, have a better test taking strategy than them, read a little bit slower than them, and make stronger predictions than them, and make the answer choice, waste less time on the process of elimination than them, right? As long as you do all that, you're gonna have a better score than them. So, all right, just chill, Doesn't really matter if you're a guinea pig or not, because you're always a guinea pig. Okay? Just move forward. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, welcome, Grace. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap up this channel, wrap up this stream in maybe like 10-ish minutes. So if you are waiting to ask a question, you should ask that. You should ask your questions now because sometimes 10 minutes can go very, very quickly. Segal trying to speak reason into these kids. Okay, I'm gonna move on to. Yeah, so I get it. I get it. I wonder, like, people are saying that the math is really hard, but I don't know. I don't know if you have watched all my videos, guys, but like I did say at the very beginning when I went like more than a year ago when the practice test came out, I did say that I really expect the College Board to eventually be forced to write harder questions for the reading writing. So I think you should just have the mentality that the test may be harder than the Bluebook test. Sorry, the real test may be harder than the Bluebook practice tests, and then just keep training for that. Okay. Let's say you're trying to get into the MBA, but you're just not at a Division I school, or your Division I school is just a little less competitive, right? Then just train yourself more some other way, right? I'm not really a basketball watcher, so I can't really make a colorful illustration. But I mean, as an Asian, I remember Jeremy Lin. Like, he was at Harvard, right? So that's not a famous Division I school. You know what I mean? Harvard is not good at basketball or at the level of like the NBA, right? So you have to. So presumably, there's probably actually videos about this, and I don't know anything. But presumably, Jeremy Lin actually had to do a lot of work to kind of like build up his his kind of short-lived NBA career. Yeah, like if the materials that you have in front of you, as in the Bluebook, if the Bluebook materials are too easy for you and you're actually aiming for a harder standard, a higher standard than that, you will do better psychologically, even if the SAT or the College Board drops a harder SAT on you. The note-taking questions are a little silly. So will they get harder? I honestly don't know how. The skill ceiling for that is so low that I feel like I can imagine making a harder version of that question, but it kind of screws the format a lot. So I actually think for that question type, the skill ceiling is just too low. They kind of need to tweak. I really like that question type, but like I don't. They need to make some sort of tweak on it to allow more skill expression on that question type. It's just too easy as it is right now. And I actually, Grace, I missed earlier your question. Am I taking the SAT? I actually cannot take the SAT right now. Yeah. The those questions currently are free. Yeah, I like the idea of it, but there has to be something else going on. When the College Board announced the digital SAT, I assumed that there would be some questions that reuse passages, right? Like questions 13, 14, 15 maybe. All three of them would be from the same passage. So if they kind of decide to reuse passages for a series of questions, then I can imagine notes questions being trickier because now you can actually build on the previous sentence. Now that's going to give some traumatic shudders down some of your spines, but like if you guys remember the paired questions where you'd have to have the evidence for like the previous question, and that's kind of the concept I'm talking about. Like the second question kind of builds on the first question. There's a reason they got rid of that though, because you guys were all very, very stressed out about that question type, because you felt like you were losing all your eggs because of that one bucket, but or basket, I mean. But yeah, that's one way to make it harder. You can kind of build a sequence of sentences based on the same notes. The annotation is terrible. The annotation is terrible. I would just say with the their keyboard shortcuts are silly, but if you learn the annotation keyboard shortcut, it does make it a lot easier. You can use your mouse to just drag the text, highlight the text with your mouse, and then use the keyboard shortcut for annotation, and then you can just, and it doesn't require as much like moving the mouse around, because so if I can make one tip for the annotations, I still think the annotations are going to be helpful for most of you, so just learn the keyboard shortcut for the annotation. It is really dumb though how they did the annotations. My Bluebook UI review video covers this in detail, but I really think they should have just said they shouldn't require so many clicks. If you highlight text, there should be a little modal, a little popover. There should be a little popover, like a little bar basically that shows up, where you can either just confirm that you want to highlight it, and maybe they should give you like 3 color options. So maybe there's like 3 color squares, color circles or something like that. So like you click on yellow circle and then it just highlights that text in yellow. Or you click on pink circle and then it just highlights the text in pink, right? And then maybe there's like a little comment icon where if you click on the comment icon, then it brings up the annotation text box. Like, that's obviously how they should have designed it. I'm not even a UI UX designer, man. Like, I mean, obviously I worked with, I don't know, not obviously. I used to work in tech companies designing software, but I was not the designer. But still, like, there's such obvious UI UX practices that they're not implementing. It's just so annoying. So you have to work around their silly design and just learn that dumb annotation shortcut, which is like, I don't know, some crazy thing like Control Shift Alt A or some weird thing. I forget what it is, but like there's some weird keyboard shortcut. I think I'm probably making it sound worse than it really is. I think it's reasonable. I think it's like 3 buttons, okay? It's like Control Shift A or something like that. But if you just learn that shortcut, make it muscle memory, eventually you're not going to bitch about it. You're going to get used to it. And then you'll forget that it was ever a dumb idea in the first place, and then your annotations will get faster. Okay, so learn that one shortcut. I think there's a couple shortcuts that I recommend, but annotation is one of them. No, annotation is the main shortcut that I recommend. Yeah. And if you don't know how to get to the shortcut, hey, hang on. College Board Bluebook UI. I wonder if there's an image of it right now. Okay. Yeah, if you don't know where to get the access to the shortcut, okay, it's not showing me the page that I want you to see, but basically, once you get into the Bluebook app, there's going to be once you actually go into a practice test, at the very top right, okay, oops, whoa, hang on, what's happening? Okay, yeah, at the very, what the heck? Oh, I see. Yeah, at the very top right of the app, there's going to be a triple dot where you can access the keyboard shortcuts, okay? So just be aware of that. All right, guys. I should probably go. No, I don't think I'll be going live tomorrow. I don't have a particular. I mean, is Is there a topic if you have topics that you want me to consider, you could just drop them in the comments. If there is a topic that I feel like is going to get people talking, then I will consider doing a live stream. But I don't really have another plan for the March SAT. Even today's was spontaneous. I don't really have another plan for the March SAT, because for the next 2 weeks, everyone will just be waiting for their scores. So I might do a stream when the scores come out, depending on how active the Discord is. If the Discord is active and people want to chat, then I'll do a stream. And besides that, I'll just give you a quick preview of my plans for the next week. I'm mostly busy with, besides like my personal classes, I am mostly busy with building out my 2 programs. So I'll chat with you directly. So if you want some structure for your studying for the May SAT, then I have a program called Give Me Structure, which is basically a lot of you will not necessarily need it, but it's really just for people who just need some structure in their lives. They're busy and they want to solve the Bluebook test together with other people. Okay, so if you want structure where like you solve one Bluebook test every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how you want to do it, and you want to review that with other people, okay, then you can join Give Me Structure. The big benefit there, besides just having other people to solve the test with, is that I will also do a specific live stream based on your performance. So the live stream, when I go on the live stream, I actually have a dashboard that shows all your answers, anonymized, so no one like your names don't show up, but like the answers are all there. So then I can give you, I can actually go back and check whose answers it is if it's a small enough class, but I'll be able to see the kinds of questions you're getting wrong, and I'll give you specific tips on how to implement the ideas that I talk about in my YouTube videos. Okay, so I talk, for example, a couple days ago about reading slower or whatever, right? So like, how does that actually look on certain questions? I'll actually review the questions directly with you and show you how to approach it for the next SAT practice test. Okay. Now, if the Bluebook practice test is not enough for you and you need more than just structure, I do have a whole set of PDFs based on the SAT Suite question bank. So I have a whole set of PDFs for all the different question types, and so we can review that as well every week. And that is a second program. It's called Give Me Knowledge. If you're interested in details there, you can look in the description below. But basically, if you want to learn specific techniques for specific question types, that is Give Me Knowledge. And so that's like 150 reading questions per week. So it's a lot of questions, actually. You have to solve quite a bit. And the schedule cycles every month. So there's that second option for you. Okay. More details are in the description, so you can kind of click there. And then if you have further questions, you can leave comments or you can chat with me on Discord. I'm pretty active on Discord. Some of you who are on YouTube who don't have Discord may not know, but I'm basically online in Discord every day, or at least 5 days of the week. All right. That's it for me, guys. Good conversation. I'm glad that we had a bunch of people just join, and I'll see you in the Discord channel until the next stream. Until then, keep on growing, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace, guys.